Hello, I'm DeDe, and this is 30 Minutes of Yoga. In this session, we'll focus on increasing strength, endurance, mobility, and awareness of the side of our body. So all the way from the side of our ankle up through the side of our head and everything in between. Here's what you'll need. If you're on a hard floor, you'll need a yoga mat. Turn it in this orientation. If you're on a carpet, you might be okay. There is some non-skid properties to a yoga mat that you may find very useful, however. You need a folded towel. I'm using a blanket. You could use a blanket too. You'll need some water. You won't need your shoes or your socks. You'll need plenty of space around you. And remember to modify anything that feels like it's not right for you. I'll give you lots of modifications as well. So we're coming down to a seated position. I want you to come down any way that works for you. I'm going to be just sitting on the floor here. If you would like to sit on your folded blanket or towel, you could do that. If you're really uncomfortable sitting on the floor, while we're doing this seated portion right now at the very beginning, you can consider sitting on a chair instead. So once you're down, find your comfortable sitting position. If you're sitting in a chair, you'll just have your feet flat on the floor. Otherwise, fold your legs, and they can be further out in front of you or closer in. You do what works for you. You can have either leg in front, it doesn't matter. If you did fold up your towel and put it underneath you, sit at the front edge of it. That gives you the best pelvic tilt. And then we'll settle in, we'll find our upright neutral posture, and then we'll relax the arms any way you like. And we'll close the eyes. And start to breathe more deeply. So I am told quite often by some of my students and my private clients, it's hard for me to be still. How can I make myself more accustomed to being still? And the answer to that is, you just have to try and be still on a regular basis. And that's what we're doing right now. So right now, if you find that your mind is very busy, or your body feels fidgety or like it doesn't want to be still, just turn your awareness to your breathing. It sounds very simple. It is an easy concept, but keeping your mind on your breath for more than a couple rounds is a little bit of a challenge. So try and meet that challenge right now. Every time you find that your mind has wandered away from your breathing or from the present moment in general, just politely invite it back, bring your awareness back as many times as you need to during this 30-minute session. Let your eyes open and then start to move your toes and your fingers a little bit. And let your eyes get used to the light once again. And now if you've been sitting on the floor with your legs folded, you may want to reverse them around like this. And let's free up our arms. And let's inhale, take the arms back. And then exhale, take the arms forward. Now as the arms go back, start to let your rib cage come forward. And as the arms go forward, let your rib cage go back. Feel what's happening in your torso and your shoulders. One more. And then we'll take our hands on our legs. If you're sitting in a chair, you still have your feet flat on the floor, but you might want to separate them a little bit. Now we'll lean from one hip to the other. Now we're starting to move into our side body. So as you lean into one hip, the opposite side of your torso, there's a contraction there. There's also a little bit of stretch, just a little bit. You may also feel some stretch in your legs, your hips. Just a little bit of rocking. And then how about if we add a little bit of twist as well? So we rock over to one side and we twist. And then we rock over to the other side. Take your hands with you and you twist. One thing is consistent here. The spine is still neutral and long. Even though you're leaning and twisting a little bit, still long. Now let's see if we can take our hands on the floor. If you're on a chair, you'll just take your hands on your legs continuously. So as we rotate one side of our abdominal wall on the side, the obliques, the internal and external obliques, one side shortens while the other side lengthens. But they both help you twist. All right, now let's come back to the center. Take your arms out, inhale. Let's exhale over to the right side. Keep your left hip heavy. This time we're not tipping our hips. So now feel the big stretch and the compression that's happening in right and left side, respectively. Right and left side, respectively. Shortening and lengthening, lengthening and shortening. Now, let your head release a little bit so you get a little stretch through your neck. How does that feel? Just let gravity pull your head a little bit further over. If you have any neck pain, you can skip that part. Because we're focusing on the side of the body today. It's nice to involve all of our side body, right? And then we'll come back to the center. If you're in a chair, by the way, you need to come down now. So taking your feet apart, knees are bent, sitting up tall, inhale, and then on the exhale, your knees go over to one side, and then you turn your torso all the way around. And then we'll inhale to go to the other side. So back to center, and then around. You can be on your fists, your fingertips, your palms. We do have a little bit of weight on our hands, so do what feels comfortable. Last two. And then we're coming around onto our hands and knees now. If you're like me, you want extra padding under your knees, so you'll provide that for yourself this way. And then let's circle around through our wrists a couple times on both sides. And even though we just limbered up the wrists a little bit, you still may feel more comfortable up on your fists like this, so make sure you do this if you need to. All right, so let's find neutral with our spine. And then you're going to press your hips to one side and your shoulders to the opposite side. And we'll come back to the center for the inhale, and we'll switch to the other side for the exhale. Back and forth here. Shoulders away from ears. Abdominal muscles engaged to help support your back. All right, then we come back to the center. Tuck your toes under and inhale. Exhale, drop your elbows down. Don't sit back too far with your hips. Feel what's happening in your toes. Come up again, inhale. Sit back and down as you exhale. So if it's too uncomfortable for your toes, you can either not sit back and down quite as far, or you can feel free to untuck your toes if that feels better. We do want to get a little stretch through our toes, however. See what you can do. Now let's untuck the toes. Inhale, step your right hand further forward, and then as you exhale, sit back and feel the stretch down the side of your body from your armpit, maybe down into your side ribs. Inhale, come up, both hands come in close. The other hand goes forward as you exhale, sit back. Let's do that a few times more. Inhaling brings you up, right hand forward, exhaling sits you back. Now let's inhale with both hands forward, and then we'll exhale and sit back. This is extended child's pose. You sit back as far as you can, stretching your arms out long. Coming forward, inhaling. Sitting back and exhaling. Now this time only halfway forward, and then I want you to keep breathing by the way, step your foot that's closest to me to the outside of your hand that's closest to me, and we'll stay right here in this low lunge. Feel what's happening in your hip. Now take your hand and place it on top of your thigh, relax your shoulders, a little bit of twist. And then we'll come out of the twist and we'll step that foot back. Now take your other foot forward. Drop into your lunge, shoulders away from ears. Try to get your hip forward of your back knee if at all possible. And then we'll twist, take your hand on your leg. And then we'll take both hands down and we'll switch again. So take your foot that's closest to me, step it forward, and then we'll rock forward and back. So make sure you have enough padding under your back knee. Inhale, forward. Exhale, sit back a little ways. Try to keep your hands in that one spot. Fists are fine. If you need them, yoga blocks right here are fine. 2 more. Feel what's happening in your hamstrings, in your back and your hips. Now let's switch sides. Knee comes back, take your time, step your other foot forward to the outside of your hand, and let's rock forward for the inhale. Maybe you look forward a little bit, and then exhale back. Maybe you look back toward your back knee. And just go as far as you can. Now, if you had your foot that's furthest away from me forward right now, if you tuck your back foot under and lift your back knee, we should be able to turn and face one another. See what you can do with that. Turn your toes out, take your hands up onto your legs, and then make sure you're not lightheaded. We're going to come up to about here. And inhale, sweep the arms up, exhale down to about here. Straightening, bending, pushing your knees outward. All right, and then we'll stay right here. Push your knees out. Make the outer edges of your feet heavy. Inhale, exhale over to the right side. And then we'll switch. Feel what's happening all down the side of your body. There's a lot going on with what we're doing right now, balance included. All right, and then we come up. Now turn your left toes in and your right toes out. Let's turn the navel and the heart toward one another, and then bend your right knee, make your pelvis level, and find your warrior two. You can look out toward your right hand, or you can keep looking forward toward me. Whatever works for you, maybe halfway between. So right now, the sides of your torso are of equal length. Let's release that and we'll switch. Right toes in, left toes out. Turn your navel and your heart toward me. Inhale, exhale, level pelvis, sink down. Warrior two. So now in this scenario, you have your right heel turned out a little bit and you have your left knee in line with your ankle. Don't let it collapse in like this. Push it open. And then we'll come up. Turn your left toes in, right toes out. And then we'll come into our warrior two once again, then we'll take it somewhere else. Left heel is pushing away. Right knee over the ankle as close as you can get. Now we inhale, and on the exhale, rest your forearm here. Keep the same length on both sides of your waist, so you've tipped your pelvis over a little bit. And then we'll take our top arm alongside our ear with an elbow bent or straight. So your top shoulder pulls back, your top hip pulls back. That's key. Keeping your front knee in line with your ankle as well. All right, and then we come up. You can push off with your hand on your leg if that feels good. Turn your right toes in. Left toes out. Warrior two to start. All right, and then we move into our side angle. So we tip the pelvis over on its side. Keep turning your navel and your heart to face me. Rest your forearm. Then take your top arm up. It's bent or it's straight. Top hip and top shoulder back. So there's so much going on the side of our body right now. And you feel all of it, the stabilization, the lengthening, the contractions, all the way from our heel, all the way up through the side of our neck. All right, and then we come up and we push off with our hand. Now, you have this big stance going on. Turn your toes straight ahead. You can put a little bend in your knees if you need to. If you are bending your knees though, turn your toes out a little bit. Otherwise, knees are straight, almost all the way straight. And then take your hands onto the seat of a chair, onto some stacked up books, some yoga blocks, or down to the floor if you can reach that. Now we have a neutral spine. That means we still have a straight line from our tailbone through the crown of our head. Now we'll walk with our hands around toward our left foot and we'll stay here. So there's a lot going on in the side of our body here. The right side of our body is lengthening. You should feel lots of stretch and opening there. The left side of your torso is shortening. You should feel that. Now breathe. And then we'll come back through the center. Let's try and maintain our long, straight spine. Walk around toward your right foot, and we'll stay here. Now take your hands on either side of your right foot and then turn your toes around so you're in a lunge. And then we'll bring our left knee down onto our extra padding and we'll come up into this low lunge. So we're upright with our torso, but the lunge is low from the waist down. And then take your arm that's closest to me and you're going to reach it over and away from me, resting your right hand on your right thigh. Stay here. So we have a tremendous amount of hip stretch, but also you should feel some of the side stretch that's taking place right now that coincides with the hip stretch. All right, and then we'll come down. Both of our hands are on the inside of our right foot. Tuck your back foot under, lift your back knee, and then straighten out your right leg as much as you can. Remember to be up on your fists or up on your yoga blocks or whatever you need to be here. And don't worry about straightening your knees completely. They can be bent here if they need to be. All right, and then we're walking around with our hands all the way around to the other side. So we find that low lunge, kneeling. And then we're upright with our torso. So join me here. And then take your arm that's closest to me and reach it over. Just breathe your way into this hip and side stretch. And then our hands come down on the inside of our left foot. Tuck your back foot under, lift your back knee, and then straighten your legs as much as you can without having moved your hands. You can relax your neck. Maybe you still try to find your neutral spine here if you can. All right, and then we walk around toward one another. We're all done with the extra padding for now, so you can move that off of your mat. And then we're facing one another. We're bringing our feet in so they're right underneath our hip joints, and then hands on shins, and we'll lift about halfway up. So we'll stay right here, and we'll breathe. Now hands on your hip creases, and then slowly rise up. And this is mountain pose. So take your arms down, turn your palms forward a little bit. Now we'll step our feet together if you're comfortable doing that. We're going to be balancing now on one foot. So if you need to be closer to a wall, or you need a sturdy chair or a countertop to steady yourself, provide that for yourself. And so let's start our tree pose sequence. So we have our right knee out to the side. Your toes can stay on the ground, or your foot can go up just under your knee, or just over your knee up here on your thigh. So it's nice to have your opposite arm out as a counterbalance when you get there. Feel free to hold on to your ankle here, but even better, try to push your foot and your leg together in a strong way so they stay, and then bring your hands together if you can. Now find a good quality focal point and let your eyes softly gaze there. Now to involve the side of our body, we keep our hands where they are, and we just start to lengthen the left side of our body. So just let the left side of your body get longer. The right side of your body gets a little shorter in the process. And then we're coming back up, and we're releasing down. Let's do the other side. Find your foot placement on this side. See if you can do the same that you did on the first side. And then we'll join the hands when you're ready. Try to keep your knee pointing out to the side. Don't let it come around to the front. And then we lean over. This time lengthening the right side. And then we come back up, and we release the arms and the leg. We're coming back down now. We're going to be in a seated position. So again, I invite you to come down any way that works for you. Some people like to come down this way, nice and easy. Just do your way. Folded towel underneath you if you need it. I'm going to turn sideways because most of what we're going to do, I want you to be able to see from the side. So bring the soles of your feet together, sitting up on your blanket or your folded towel if you need to, pushing from the back if that feels better. Otherwise, your hands can be on top or your hands can be in front. And your feet can be further forward if they need to be. Feel that wonderful stretch in your inner thigh, groin area. All right, now we're coming up. You're going to stretch out your left leg and then step your right foot over your left leg. So your right foot steps over your left leg. Your left leg is straight out in front of you, or at least mostly straight. You can put a little bend in your knee there if you need to. Shoulders down, pull your back ribs in, and then wrap your left arm around and look over your right shoulder. So this is a seated single leg twist. Keep bringing some energy to your straight left leg. Don't let it just rest. Let it be active in this position. All right, then we release that, and we'll trade the bent leg for the straight leg. So right leg is straight, left foot comes across, pull your back ribs in, wrap your arm around, take your left hand behind you, and look back over your left shoulder. All right, and then we'll come back around to the center. Let's come to a comfortable seated position. Just cross your legs or keep your legs straight out in front of you if you like. Roll your shoulders up and back and down. And so now I hope that you have more of a sense of the side of your body and some of the ways that the side of the body is used in certain yoga poses. So I hope you have more attention, more awareness there, and a little bit more flexibility and strength as well. So as usual, thank you for joining me. I'm DeDe.